Paradox Interactive and Microsoft have joined forces to create Paradox Mods, a new open modding platform for X1 and PC. The platform will allow modders to share their beloved creations with players on both X1 and PC. Why God? The Paradox Launcher, with a single upload, and features in-game and web interfaces that should enable easy distribution. It's available right now as a free update to Surviving Mars, and has launched with over 30 mods for console players, such as one project that has a self-sufficient forest greenhouse, and another that lets players build a Martian car wash. Paradox intends to add support for more of its titles later this year. Modding has been, and remains an important part of the Paradox community, as we have diversified the way we distribute our games. We want to make sure all our players can take part in the creation process, said Paradox Mods product owner Anders Tolland in a press release. For Surviving Mars, we have worked with mod creators to support Paradox Mods, with some of the best mods available, all in one place and downloadable in-game, or simply using a web browser. Players can access the platform by logging into their account from the Surviving Mars title screen and opening the Mod Manager. To access the Paradox Mods catalog, selected mods will then be automatically downloaded and added to the experience. Nintendo will bring another franchise to smartphones with the launch of Drive Mario World this summer. The news comes a day after the company chose to push back the launch of Mario Kart Tour for a few months in a bid to improve the quality of the mobile racer. Drive Mario World will be developed and operated in partnership with Japanese tech company Line Corporation, and has been given an early summer 2019 release window. It will be the seventh mobile game Nintendo has worked on since 2016, following in the footsteps of Matomo, Super Mario Run, Animal Crossing, Pocket Camp, Fire Emblem Heroes, John Lee Lost, and Mario Kart Tour. Unity has blocked the use of real-time multiplayer platforms patterns, leaving many developers who rely on the service in a state of limbo. A change to the Unity terms of service means all existing Spatlos titles, including production games and those still in development, are now in breach of the company's license terms. Spatlos creator Improbable broke the news in a blog post, and explained Unity has also revoked its ability to continue working with the engine for operating the newly changed terms of service in an unspecified way. That means the company will no longer be able to fully support Unity developers, as to many of whom have been forced to shut down the servers of their Spatlos projects. Although Improbable believes the unfortunate and counterproductive action to be a simple error in judgment, a coordination failure on Unity's part, the company is worried by the fact the change occurred during an open commercial negotiation with the engine maker overnight. This is an action by Unity that has immediately done harm to projects across the industry, including those of extremely vulnerable small-scale developers, and damaged major projects in development over many years, wrote Improbable. Games that have been funded based on the promise of Spatlos to deliver next-generation multiplayer are now endangered due to their choice of game engine. Live games are now in legal limbo. All customers who entered into a relationship with Ascend Unity previously did so on the good faith understanding that the terms they signed up to, sometimes years ago, would allow them to be successful and not carry additional charges. Improbable is now urgently seeking a solution to the situation, and says it will do everything in its power to solve the issue in good faith with Unity with the ideal outcome being a reversal of the terms change. In the meantime, the company has pledged to help developers using Spatelovs with Unity finish, release, and operate their games, and is even setting up an emergency fund for partners who, now, but thrown into the financial mire. Improbable will also be fully open sourcing the Spatelovs game development kit for Unity under the MIT license, in the hope it might assist individual customers in some way. Those interested can find out more about the dispute over on the Improbable blog. The elegance of first-time user experience in Valve's The Lab, even almost 3 years post-release. Valve's The Lab is still my go-to way of introducing people to virtual reality. Why? It's polished, and funny, and fun, and there is a ton of very different content to muck around in. But what makes it such an ideal gateway drug for room-scale VR is the total elegance of its first-time user experience. In the last year, VR games have, by and large, improved a lot at getting players fluent at their own controls and mechanics. Beat Saber is the phenomenon it is in part because it's so easy to pick up the controllers and get caught chopping. Google has shown continued improvement in Tilt Brush and Google Earth by expanding their tutorials to slowly introduce players to their full functionalities. With Creed, Rise to Glory, Survios has finally developed an experience as accessible as it is innovative. This trend is great, but I can think of no game that introduces a new player into the full, rather of room-scale VR, as quickly and invisibly as 2016, SLAM. So how does Valve do it? Let's take it step by step. When the lab finishes loading, you find yourself in a drab, barren environment. A pair of slightly animated figures, a single wall, a spotlight, a few props, a menu, subtle ambient sound. This is not exciting. This is not Half-Life VR. What gives? Actually, the simplicity of this scene is of great benefit to new users. Just having an HMD covering your eyes can be overwhelming for some new users. But most anyone who has not experienced VR is going to find the realistic parallax a lot to take in. Simple magic is still magic, so the lack of overwhelming stimulus is a comfort, especially considering how many first-time demos take place in public. Trying to negotiate a bunch of flashing lights and moving parts, well, still aware that there are people you cannot see looking at you, well, Grandpa might find that a little intimidating. This simplicity here ensures that a new user is not going to have to worry they are totally screwing up in front of friends and strangers. But it's also very functional. That all the detail of the room is consolidated in one direction means there is no confusion about where you should be looking or what needs doing. But those buttons, they are too far away to reach without physically walking forward. After a few abortive attempts and just pointing at them, players figure out they need to walk forward. So they walk forward, and just like that room scale tracking is understood, physically walking around virtual space is not something that anyone was fluent in before room scale VR. First-timers I have put in Beat Saber have about a 50% chance of needing to be told they can take a step. Most everybody I have started in Google Earth does not move their body until they decide to lean down to look at a city. The functionality of the menu ensures that you understand your controllers as ways of interacting directly with the world. There's no feedback until you physically touch the menu, at which point the controller vibrates and the relevant controller button glows. So you will learn that the controller has all sorts of abstract functionality to teleportation, level selection, game-specific functions, but the concept of controllers as hands is introduced first. After selecting play interval, The iconic little dudes demonstrate what you are going to be doing. One of them picks up something and sticks his face in it. The motion blur suggests has been sucked into the globe. His friend rejoices, affirming this was the correct action to take. The sequence is basically a real-time 3-panel comic. Compare this approach to, say, the level of abstraction that text-based instructions for this would require. Rather mysterious or try and to eat it. Instead, get sucked into the world it contains. Not as clear, right? Text-based verbal instructions would also need to be localized into dozens of languages.